So I was going through some old files during the week, and I ran across a series that we did in 2018, I believe it was. It's called Through Relaxation. And I what all we had said in that, and so I kind of went through it, and it's perfect with where we left with our intentions. It's not that we leave off, because with our intentions we're constantly working on them, but this is a series about manifesting through relaxation. The reason this makes so much sense to me, and the reason this resonates so deeply with me, is with relaxation we calm ourselves. We calm our mind. We calm our presence. And in this world has a whole lot of chaos that tries to go against that. It has a whole lot of chaos that just fills our mind with noise. And this relaxation allows us to slow down. It doesn't mean we stop doing stuff. It just means that we're able to slow down the thought process, the anxieties that build up. By being relaxed, we obviously open ourselves up to more peace and calm, but it also opens us up to more success in our lives. And I define success as being true to you. That can be that you have a goal in mind and you set out and you get it. But if you do so while being true to you, you've succeeded. Okay, so it's both physical, it's spiritual, it's everything. Success is being true to you, in my opinion. Through relaxation, we set ourselves up to be in a place of well-being and clarity and strength and abundance. And when we can put ourselves in that position, we can vision those intentions. Those intentions become real. We can experience them even though they may not yet have come to be in our physical world. Through relaxation, we release ego's need to control our actions, and we effortlessly create more positive circumstances in the world around us. Now notice what I just said there. We create more positive circumstances in the world around us. Obviously, it's within us as well. But when you start shifting your inner experience, the world around you starts shifting as well. And that's what this is all about. That's what we're talking about today. Basically today in part one, we're talking about awakening your spiritual understanding. You know, what it means to awaken your spiritual knowing, what it means to experience things from a spiritual perspective. Now next week, I believe it is, either next week or the one after, part 2 or 3, we talk deeper on perspective, but we'll touch on it a little bit today. So we have 2 centers of thought. Everybody does. Every human being that's ever walked this planet has 2 centers of thought. One of those is physical, material, and the other is spiritual. Everything you think is either based on a material perspective or a spiritual. Now, if we could find that toggle switch and just go ahead and kick it over to spiritual, we're done. We don't need to have these talks. But it's not quite that easy. At least not for me. I catch myself in the material way more than the spiritual. So that's what today's all about, is we're going to talk about that. Now this verse that I was telling you about earlier, it's 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 14. And that says, the merely intellectual person, material-based thoughts. The merely intellectual person rejects the teaching of the Spirit of God. For to that person it is mere folly. They cannot grasp it because it is to be understood only by spiritual insight. See, there's a whole universe, an infinite universe of knowledge and knowing and experience available to us. But it's not until we kick our thought process, our belief system over to the spiritual perspective that we can see it. I was once asked, we were in a seminar and we were on the second floor of a building, and you could step out on a balcony, and the guy who was facilitating that seminar said, Kenny, can you walk out there on that balcony and fly? My answer was not yet. Okay? The true answer is not until I can get totally spiritual in my thought process, my belief system. It's like walking on water. Nobody can walk on water for a very long distance unless they have totally shifted their thought process to spiritual and understand that this material world has no hold upon them. Jesus was able to do it. That's all I know of, except for some magicians that have some incredible illusions that I haven't figured out yet. I don't claim that they're Jesus, but I can't figure out how they do it. Something in their belief system. And there's probably some tricks involved too, but anyway. We function as we do in this world because we're creatures of habit. So if you believe that shifting your mindset from material to spiritual will open every door imaginable to you, but you haven't figured out how to do it yet, it's because we've taught ourselves from day one to focus on the material, to have material beliefs. If you go outside with a wet head in winter, you're going to get sick. Many people believe that, and many people get sick because they believe that. My mother used to tell me that, and there was a time in my life, and it must have been a pretty important time, that everything my mother said, I thought the opposite was probably true. And so I didn't believe that. And I have walked outside. I've never dried my hair. Never. I've never put a hairdryer to my hair. I think Kathy's tried a few times just to irritate me. But I've never done that. I jump out of the shower and off I go. And I've never once been sick because of it. This is what I'm talking about. We teach ourselves. We create habits in our thinking and our belief system that tell us if this happens, this happens. When in truth, if this happens, so what? Because if my belief system is purely based on spiritual, all I see is good and love and well-being as a result. Through relaxation, we can more completely see our intentions and our desires and our goals. You know, we set goals at the beginning of the year, and we spend a month on them. It's important stuff. We spend a month on them. We set them. And just like how we observe life, how we function in life, we either set them from a material point of view or a spiritual point of view. When we shift to spiritual perception, to spiritual knowing, spiritual understanding, even if we did set those from a material mindset, we're going to see them more clear. We're going to see the deeper version of that. We're going to see exactly how that goal can serve our well-being and the world's. One of the ways to do that is through, and we talked a little bit about it last week, is through our visioning process. In our empowering prayer process, one of the steps is to understand our prayer as already made manifest. See, if you're looking at something from a spiritual point of view, You cannot see it as something that's coming to you because your experience of it as you see it from this point of view is already there. See, there is nothing lacking, nothing missing in the spiritual truth of God. If you can think it, it's done. It's already there. And so in our prayer, in our empowering prayer, we see it as already done, already made manifest in the spiritual world. We don't need to do anything. It's already there. All we've got to do is visualize it in our mind, know that it's already done on the spiritual level, and know that because it's in the spiritual level, the material level has no choice but to align with that truth. Through this relaxation process, and you can use any process you want. Anything that helps you relax, use it. It could be breath work, it could be meditation, it could just be sitting still looking out at the woods. That's not really important, how you do it. The important thing is that you do it. So through this relaxation process, you calm your feelings. You calm all your senses of what's going on around you, and you tune in to the spiritual truth within you. You're able then to vision truth. We open our spiritual truth to the ideal state which we want to contemplate, whether that be a new car or a feeling of peace. We open our attention from a spiritual point of view to that which we desire, and we experience it. As we experience it, we start believing it. And that song we played early this morning, as you believe, it happens. Jesus told us, as you believe. Found a beautiful example when we first did this talk. There was a lady in San Francisco. She was blind, and she knew her route to her bus, and she'd hop on the bus. 15 minutes later, she was at her job, and she knew the route. You know, she had her cane, and she knew how to get to her desk and do her job and get back home. Had a great life going. Things were working perfectly, and the city of San Francisco changed the bus routes. Instead of 15 minutes to get to work, it was going to take her 2 hours and 15 minutes to get to work. She knew this wasn't going to work. So she spent time looking at hiring a car, hiring a taxi, hiring this, hiring that, and it was just all out of her budget. There was just no way she's going to be able to do it. She'd contemplating finding a new job, and that just wasn't working out the way it was supposed to be. And she remembered a visioning process that she was taught many years before. In this process, she visualized somebody hearing about her story and deciding that they were going to help. And so she started visualizing this. And the vision took place. The first time she did it, it was several hours long. This was something she really needed to do. So she just started visualizing somebody coming and picking her up and taking her to work. And that grew into the conversations that she would have with this person. That grew into the sound of the motor of the car, the smell of the exhaust, the sounds around her as they were going, the people on the sidewalk, the cars around her, the trolleys in San Francisco running by. So she was getting this complete picture. And when she finally got this complete picture, the last thing she remembered visualizing was, as she got out of the car, she said, "Thank you so much." And the response was, "It's my pleasure." So she's doing this visualization, and a friend of hers who knew the situation, not the visualization, somebody who knew the situation called her up and said, "Hey, I ran into this guy who works with a group that's there to help the blind. Why don't you give him a call, connect, just see what can happen?" And so she calls him up, and the guy said, "Oh, I could probably help get you to work, but my schedule won't allow me to get you back home. Let's see what we can do." So this guy on his way home that first night stopped at a bar to have a drink with a friend of his, and he was telling his friend this story, and somebody behind him overheard it and said, "I can get her home." Now, this whole time, this was the first day, the lady is just visualizing this happening. She gave herself permission to let that be her priority, the visualization, not the going out and trying to do something about it. Okay, she was just visualizing. So the next day, she starts off her day visualizing. She gets a phone call back from this guy. So we've got it figured out. We're going to get you to and from work. And he told her what the plan was. So the first day, she rides to work with this guy. She said, "Thank you very much." His response, "It was my pleasure." Coming back home, same results. She said, "Thank you very much." His response, "It was my pleasure." Exactly what she had visioned. This is how visioning works when we see it from a spiritual level. When we go into a vision and we see this thing that we're visioning, and our time is spent trying to figure out how to make it happen, we're not looking at it from a spiritual point of view. We're looking at it from a material point of view. See, we've got to believe, we've got to have faith. We've got to believe that this is whole and complete on the spiritual level. We have to know that. And as we know that, our material understanding, our material experience, our material situation starts aligning with the spiritual. The material experience has no choice but to align with what's coming from divine principle, from divine law. And divine law is dictated by the thoughts and focus we put into it. We're born with the ability to see our life experience from those two outlooks, the material and the physical. I mean, the material and the spiritual. When we focus on the physical, we are limited to what the physical allows. We limit ourselves. We cheat ourselves of the wholeness of what we're visualizing. When we visualize from the spiritual perspective, as we open ourselves to understand just how beautiful and wonderful and complete that is, we start understanding what can be, not what is going to be hard to be. So imagine the fullness and the completeness of that which you intend. In the physical, we give attention to limitations and lack. As we do that, we give attention to physical things we can do. So it compounds our focus on the physical. Start your vision seeing it as complete, more than you even dreamed it could be. But don't limit yourself. Always end your vision. When you have a really great vision going and you see something that's like, "Oh man, this is beautiful," always end that with the statement, "all this and more." Because even if what you vision is absolutely incredible and beautiful, there's even more in the spiritual truth of that. When we vision as if it is already done. It's not coming to us. It's here, which means it's in the spiritual presence that is everywhere. So it's already done. Vision it as so. What is your life going to be like when that is already done? If that's how you have to start it. What is your life going to be like as if that's already done? And as you start putting this together, you bring it into the here and now. Okay, it is done. It is done. Now I experience it fully and wholly, and then act and think and believe and speak as if it's already done. Because in truth it is. We may not see it in the material world yet, but it's done in the spiritual world, so act like it. If you vision being a millionaire, start right now acting like you're a millionaire. This doesn't mean you go out and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. Act like you're a millionaire. Believe that you're a millionaire. Have thoughts that a millionaire would have. And it might take some research to get there. There's all kinds of books out there, how millionaires think. Start thinking as if it's already done. And then the material world has no choice but to put you in experiences that you will experience what it's like to be a millionaire. Do not allow the how-tos to get in the way, because that's all they'll do. They will get in the way. In the spiritual perspective, when you're visioning, when you're seeing this as whole and true and complete, the answers come. That answer may be sit on your hind end and let it come to you. That answer may be go out and do this. It's fine. If it comes from the spiritual perspective, follow it. But if you're sitting there thinking, okay, well, I could do this and I could do this and I can... Stop. It does you no good. When you vision, in seeing the vision, you have moved into a spiritual experience that tells you it is done. Many, many, many studies have been done, and we've done a few examples in here, and we do it every Sunday morning with our gratitude and kindness and peace and love moments. But if you don't believe this to be true, close your eyes and imagine one of the most thrilling and exciting things you've ever done. And get a really good picture of that, and all of a sudden you're going to start feeling that again. You're going to experience it all over again. That's what this is all about. The experience that you have within is the same experience that you have in the material world. Our minds cannot tell the difference between what is thought and what is actually done. The experience is the same. So don't cheat yourself by saying, well, I just created that in my mind. Yeah, you did create that in your mind, and that's the beautiful thing about it, is you can create it in your mind. So no matter what's going on around you, you can create whatever situation and experience you want. Knowing it is already made manifest in the spiritual, walk through life, again, walk through life as if it is done in the physical. Know that it is done. You are already the owner of this thing. You are already the experiencer of this thing. Walk as if you were already the person in your vision. We get caught up sometimes having these beautiful visions and kind of thinking, well, that's somebody else. Even if we see ourselves in it, oh, that's somebody else. Bring yourself into it. And if you're seeing another body out there, even if it's a picture of you walking around, bring it back in so that you are looking through the eyes of that figure in your vision. So just notice here, we didn't lay out any rules about having to do anything, about having to do any physical work. This all begins on the spiritual level, with our thoughts, with our imagination, with our beliefs. Break the habit of believing it takes hard work to manifest your goals, to manifest your highest good. It merely requires you focus your thoughts. You align your thoughts with spiritual truth. And this happens when you relax. When you release a focus on chaos and limiting beliefs, and instead relax into the truth of God within you and you as God. So next week we're going to talk a little bit more about perspective and how this comes into play in manifesting through relaxation. So I hope you're here for that. For now, let's close in prayer. Father God, our prayer today is awareness of our thoughts. Knowing our thoughts dictate and determine every experience we have in this life, we pray clarity of our thoughts. As we are in one mind, as we are one with you in one mind, we know our thoughts are divine thoughts and worthy of our attention and understanding. Today we claim clarity, we claim awareness, we claim calm in our thoughts, and elevate our understanding of you in our lives. Knowing this prayer is already made manifest, we release all blocks to our knowing these truths. We are clear in our thoughts. We are calm in this present moment where we are wholly one in you. We hold you in gratitude, God, and we hold calm and understanding in gratitude. And so it is. Amen.